Hello there everyone, it's been a little moment since we've done this song and dance. It's currently Easter Monday, so in case you guys are watching this at sometime in the mid of next month, you know when I'm recording this. But it's been a really fun little period. It's been interesting to kind of learn how I'm uploading these videos and editing them and what I'm able to do. But it's really fun. So I really thank you guys so much for just having a bit of fun with me. Today we've got leg day, it's blue shirt day, so you guys know we're doing legs. However, I've made some changes to what I'm doing. I've swapped squats out for leg press, unilateral, because I just feel like it's working more of what I'm kind of looking to do. And I hope that by making the change, I will be able to more consistently progress from week to week. That'll remain to be seen though. I think we're doing about 117.5 kilos today for that, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, that's really exciting. Also, it's a beautiful fucking day, and I've eaten so much chocolate this Easter. I've eaten like 2 Ben & Jerry equivalents of ice cream, Easter eggs, takeout. Celebrations were wild. Watched the Devil May Cry anime, peak, straight peak. And also I've heard today from Senpai Gabe on TikTok that apparently it is like it's like Netflix's shit right now, like it is printing the money, so much so that it's like it's doing better than Cyberpunk Edge Runners, which I also agree is baffling because that show is insanely good. So who knows, I guess you never know what will have the most appeal to people, but to think that among things that Netflix has produced, that the Devil May Cry anime is second only to Arcane in terms of like what it's potentially going to bring in for Netflix, that is insane. Like, I don't think it's currently doing as good as like the number 2 spot, but to think that it will be the number 2 spot, ridiculous. And that really bodes well for if season 2 comes out, which I believe there will be. So that's insane, man. Netflix found a little infinite money glitch right there. Plus it's Devil May Cry, who doesn't like that? They did something similar for like Bayonetta or something, I'm sure they'd had the same kind of reaction. In any case, today we've got just a few little things, really. We've got leg press, we've got either hinge or hamstring curl, depending on what's available. So it's gonna be really windy. We've got calf work and abdominal work, and we will record all of those because again, it's a bank holiday, so I've got all the time in the fucking world, and my gym is open, which is a really lovely kind of duo of combinations. Some of the things that I've changed since the last time I would have recorded a block of videos is I have obviously swapped out my leg presses, but I've also reduced the amount of time that reduced the number of times that I'm training my abdomen specifically from 2 to 1, because I find that I wasn't progressing at all. And I decided that let me try changing it to once a week and just see if I do progress. And I did see progress last week, and I'm keen to see if I see progress this week, and we'll kind of go from there. But that's kind of where we're at currently. Again, it's a beautiful fucking day, so we shall see how we do. I don't really have too much else to add in this intro, so let's get to the gym, let's get warm, let's get lifting.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the gym, gonna be getting into a little warm-up here for leg press. Now, the reason why this leg press is a bit goofy, because as you can see, it's, each leg is kind of, well, it's not part of like a single press. Like each leg has its own stack of weights allocated to it. So it's a bit of a weird one to do bilaterally. Like if I'm pushing with both legs, I often find that my legs are, moving at inconsistent intervals. But I do really like this for doing it unilaterally. So just doing the one leg at a time, I find is really nice. And there's also a benefit to doing one leg at a time, in that you can hopefully recruit more muscle fibers, or recruit a greater amount of muscle fibers. Unilateral training, so doing one-sided training, often shows that by doing that one side, you're able to recruit more muscle fibers for a given movement, and as a result, you should be able to have a better, degree of chance to see hypertrophy. Now, you may notice that I am kind of locking into this mech by sitting down. That's because I want to get my ankles as close to my heels as I can. And the reason why I want to do that is I really want to get as much range of motion as possible. So I may even attempt to move the seat closer. I don't know if I'll be able to, but I really want to get super deep into this position while keeping a straight back. Yeah, so we're going to try and move the seat up a little bit, but all that we're doing with this is getting up to our working weight. We're doing the movement super far away from failure, so there's no, fatigue building up. And I think we got maybe 2 more plates. Let's see, 6, 8, 10. Yeah, we got 2 more plates and then just a little bit more. The main aim for doing this now over squats is to see more frequent increases in performance. I don't know if that will necessarily happen because I've only done this for maybe 3 weeks, but I am hopeful, so we shall see. And now that is a super deep position. This is exactly what I wanted to get into. Amazing. Good. Yeah, that's really good. So, we'll do a little conversation here. The reason why we're bringing ourselves so close to this is I want to get to this kind of position with my ankle. So I want my ankle to be as close to my butt as possible so that I'm getting that full range of motion throughout my hip and my knee joint and pressing from the deepest possible position. Also, training at a full range of motion like this is going to be very, very helpful for building that strength across the entire range of motion. If I was just doing, that first little bit where I got started with, I wouldn't be able to strengthen all of the, the deeper structures or even stretch the muscles to that deeper length, which is something I want to do. Because when you get to that really deep stretch, at least I find you've got a really good amount of control over your whole body and the forces that it's experiencing. And as long as you're being safe, you're bracing properly and all that, I think this is a really good way to do things. Of course, if you don't have the ankle mobility, not a great thing. Also, if you find that if your back's rounding away, that's also bad. You're probably too deep. You need to work on some mobility in your hips. But for me, I'm pretty mobile, so this is kind of fine. We've got a little bit more, so this is 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. I think we're working up to 117. I'm just going to check that. Let's check here, 117, doing lower one. Sorry, this is 127. That's squat. I was going to say that's way too high. Okay, looks like this might be 112 then, not 17. 112, that's fine. Okay, in which case we've got 2 more warm-up reps before we get into this. And so we'll probably just do 2 reps of this now, as we are getting closer to our working weight. Also, I prefer to brace in here than down here. I find that getting this really helps me lock in the resistance profile, but that's just preference. Okay, now, one thing I'm definitely learning from this is, obviously, this is a novel movement for me. I've not done this kind of movement much previously, and I certainly haven't, in the last 2 times that I've done this, in the last month, I haven't been this close to the weight. I can already tell This is gonna be much more difficult. I don't know if I'm gonna get the same rep range at the same weight as I did before, because I'm learning with this movement. You guys are seeing me learn with this movement, and now I'm so much closer to the weight, and that makes it so much more difficult because it's the bottom position, which is the hardest position to push out of. But we're gonna see. I'm gonna put maybe an extra 10 on here. So we did 110 for 6 last time, but obviously that was with a bit more room. So I think we may just go for 110 again, and just see how we do. So what we're gonna do, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna put 110 on, and then we're gonna rest up and we're gonna go for that, because I do feel like it's probably gonna be too heavy for me. So I just wanna see that. So that's what we're gonna do. Let's get into the main set, I suppose. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get into this. I don't think this is going to be a successful set from the perspective of, you know, meeting the reps that we've done before. I'm so sorry that only my legs are in frame at the moment. What I really want to do is just test the limits of how I can push in this deep of a position. Pause. The fuck? So I think we may only get like 2 or 3 reps. I'm gonna be so honest with you, this is supposed to humble me. I'm just going to really try and lock in and focus on getting that push. We'll just see if the weight allows me to. This may just be too heavy, and that's fine. This is supposed to humble me because, you know, duh. You know, I'm someone who has put a lot of effort into, like, I suppose, the idea that I'm continuing to progress, so moving backwards in weight, no matter if it's changing exercise or whatever, it can be a hit to the ego. It is a hit to the ego. That's fine if I take a hit to the ego, because eventually I'm gonna be lifting more. Let's get into it. Holy moly. Okay, well, we're gonna try one more rep of that. I think that was 4 reps. So that's about on par. If I started bleeding, I have started bleeding. I must have clipped my cut. That's unfortunate. I got white socks on as well. Damn, hate to see it. Okay, few things of note. First of all, I'm not all the way down in the seat. I can feel that already. So I don't actually know how effective this whole thought process was, so I'm going to really focus on that now with this next rep. Okay, that was much better. That was so much better. So we're going to do one more set. It's going to be the right side. We're gonna see how it goes, but getting here's the thing, is that I feel that when I'm doing the movement, I don't fully come all the way back to the lock-in point, which is basically like, I could just be further back and it would have the same result, because like the angle is the same. So I'm not bringing that weight all the way back down, but I'm not going into that deep position. So I really need to focus on that, and maybe think more about the transition period from eccentric to concentric at that super deep position. So that's what I'm gonna try next. And now I'm gonna aim for 4 reps. So let's give it a fucking whirl. Okay.
Holy fuck. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that told me everything I need to know about this. This, by the way, is a perfect example of ego lifting. Don't do this. So, I have a discomfort injury disorder with the right side of my pushing ability, which explains why I can't get that really awesome stretch or push out of the super deep position. This is too heavy. So, what we're gonna do is not be a fool, but in the future, we're just going to take that 10 off. It's not worth doing. Today though, this was more of just an informative thing. This explains a lot about why I wasn't able to lift consistently or heavily, because I was basically always relying on my left leg to keep pushing. So, please let this be informative. I'm going to try one more rep of being able to push this, because I think I can maybe get one if I really try. But there's no promises. Let this just be an informational thing for you. Okay, that's everything, ladies and gentlemen. That's top to bottom. That's all we got. So, as a little recap, this whole thing has been a learning experience about why I haven't been able to consistently progress on my squats. I think we found the answer. I have a serious left-right muscular imbalance, strength imbalance. And so what we do now is we take that on the chin and we work on it. Not today, because we've already kind of used the effort that we would use for that. And I don't feel that a second set would be valuable at this juncture. However, going forward, we're going to attempt this at 100 kilograms next week. See how we do for that, and what I'll probably do is I'll record next week's session as opposed to taking, my normal break in recording, just so that you guys can see what the resultant effect of that is. But to articulate a bit more about what's going on, when we're in this super deep position, I am at my weakest, okay? When we try and push from that position, we are at our weakest. That's why you see me stopping the rep up here before I can let the weight come back down and then pushing back out. The issue is that my pushing power in my right leg is substantially limited by compensating for what my injury has. So, as a result of that, we're going to completely curb the ego, drop the weight all the way down, and start building up from scratch. And eventually, who knows, maybe it'll be next year, maybe it'll be 2 years' time, maybe it'll be less time. We'll be strong in that position, because that's what I want. You may say that, maybe just don't go as deep into it, but that's where the problem is, so that's where I want to work. So, just a bit of information for you guys. Hope you guys take something away from that. We're moving on to the next thing. Let's go. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to move into our hamstring curls. This is main set hamstring curls, 52 kilograms, looking for 6 reps. Will we get it? I don't fucking know. Prepare to hear some noises though, because this is gonna be fun for everyone involved. Oh goodness.
Well, I just sneezed into the fucking microphone, so apologies about that. That was not what I wanted. Also, I feel like I'm a bit on edge. You know? It feels like I'm rushing my movements, which is something I've noticed recently. I'm trying to get through them, like I've got rep targets to meet. But something I didn't feel like I had when I was just kind of going off of whatever I was in the dome piece, you know? Whatever I could think of, whatever was in my head. So, is my performance increasing? Probably. You know? I'm doing more reps, but am I spending the time that I want under tension? I don't know. I do feel like I'm rushing things. So, maybe that's just anxiety. So let's trust. Let's trust. And just slow this last little bit down. Oh, goodness. Excellent. That was much better. See, that kind of pace, that was more like what I was looking for. That was successful. So again, with these, it's clear that, you know, bilaterally, I'm still sound, but I definitely think for the machine across the way, doing single leg extensions is the way forward. Either way, I'm really happy with the revelations I've got. I'm making notes of it in my training program, so make sure you're doing that as well. But I'd still consider that a success. That means that next week we'll be on probably 53. Yeah, 53. So next week will be 53.25 for 5. And that's pretty awesome. So that's exciting. Let's go to the next thing. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be doing our final 2 bits here, which is the plantar work, which we do for our shins and our calves. Well, I said our calves, that's our calf. Also, holy moly, look at that. Can you guys see that vein there? Holy moly. I can't imagine what my legs would look like if I shaved them. You know, the amount of leg veins I'd probably have popping around. I don't know, it's a freaky thing. I'm not over the fact that I have, zoom in on that, enhance. Like, I'm still not over the fact that my arm veins, like, I look like a lifter now. Like, look at all that shit, dude. So I can't imagine what it'd be like for my legs. So we have 2 more exercises to do, and that's it. Plantar work, which is going to be using these heavy-ass kettlebells behind us, where we're going to be just doing this movement. We're still rebuilding this because we've had to move around a lot and change like how we do it. So we're just learning. And then we're going to be doing our not calf work, our abdominal work, our abdominal set using this little boy here. So without further ado, let's select a tune and get right into it. Let's see what the goals are for today. So for the thingy here, we're looking for 3 reps with the yellow one and maybe 3 to 4 reps with the black one here. I essentially just do the yellow one until I can't do it anymore, and then I go to the black one because as a superset, because this yellow one is 16 kilograms and it's heavy as fuck. So let's get into it. We're looking for 3 reps and 3 to 4 reps. Okay. Oh. Oh. Oh goodness, that was quite good now, wasn't it? We were kind of doing 3 reps, we kind of got to the 3rd rep, which is good, because again, there is no like, this is I think 14? Yeah, 14 to 16, so there's no 15, so it's unfortunate. But I prefer to stay in that lower rep range, but this is a bit too low for my liking, so I'm trying to build it up, which is why I do both of these. We're now going to write that in, and then we're going to go for one more for just the yellow. So that was 3 reps for the 16. So 16 for 3, and the 14 for, I think we managed to get 3. I have to check the footage again. So we're going to try one more for this, hopefully get another 1 to 2 reps out of it. Good stuff. Oh, great stuff. So if those of you aren't aware, those like little flutters that you can do at the end, they're the most important part of training anything with your calves. Like there is very good evidence to show that those little exertions, that's where the fucking muscle is made, or at least the pathways, the neural stimulus that is required to, etc., etc. There's some good evidence for that, so we definitely recommend. That gives us one more. So we have currently made some progress on that, which is good. It's only slight because again, it's very difficult. This is very heavy weight, but still very happy about that. So I'm good. Very good with that. Right, we're gonna go into the next one. This is gonna be our right leg. So let's get active. Let's see what music we got on. Yep, we're good. Lock and load. awkward angles, these kinds of movements, like wrist work, or things like elbow stability, or like shoulder stability work. But when I started lifting, specifically just for lifting's sake, like the amount that I cared about lifting so much more, like I love the idea of lifting heavy, you guys know this, but I can't because I'm in need of more attention to the smaller structures. And that's fine, because I look great, I'm happy with how I look, I'm happy with who I am. But I didn't care about doing those menial tasks for other things, but I do care about it now. And I think that's a really interesting thing. Like I've got, other stuff that I need to work on, like the first exercise we did today. Like that's something I need to work on. Like I could just ignore it, right? I could just keep lifting the same amount of weight, move a little bit further away, but like the problems don't fix themselves. So, same thing for like my knee pain. When I had knee pain and I was doing these, I didn't know that there was no guarantee that this would be the end result, but it happened. And like that's a thing that is consistent for a lot of people. And I know that doing things like that, dropping the weight, increasing the range of motion, and being really intentional about why I'm doing things will result in me getting healed, for lack of a better word, or just more robust. And I think that's pretty cool. Anyway, we've got one more exercise for today, but let's make a note of what we've just done. We have done that, amazing. So now we just have abs, and this is the one which we're trying to progress. So if I can get 6 reps of this, pardon me, bless me. If I can get 6 reps of this, then I'm definitely not doing 2 sets of this ever, or maybe not for a long time. So I just can't maximally recover from it during the week. But if I can do 1 set and can see consistent increases in performance, that's all you really need. So, that being said, let's grab some There's more I could say, so let's just, while I'm stretching out here, let me just tell you guys a few things. So, first of all, doing less stuff, as in, let's take a moment, let's review how we train. We train by doing exercises. Those exercises will have a certain number of reps to them, which is the number of times we do it. Set, which is the number of times we do that block of things. And also, there will be the number of times that we do that exercise or similar exercises, either on a given day or throughout a week, or a microcycle or mesocycle. So it won't get too complicated. What we want to make sure is that while we're doing our training, we are seeing progress. If we are not seeing progress, we need to go back to our core principles of training, which are, again, there's training, nutrition, recovery, but we'll just focus on training. There is intensity, volume, and frequency. Not in that order of priority. The actual priority is intensity, frequency, and volume. So intensity is how close we are training to failure. That is the point at which we cannot physically move the movement anymore. We can't do the movement anymore at the weight that we're doing, whatever it may be. You saw it here when I did every single one of my sets, and there was a point where I physically couldn't move it. Let's not count the ones when I did at the very start, but let's say my hamstring curls, when I did those and I got to my 6th rep, I couldn't do a 7. No matter how hard I pulled, couldn't get a 7th rep. When I did this, here now, I did 6 of these, no matter how hard I was pulling, couldn't get a 7. That's failure. When we train to failure, we can kind of infer that we are training with high intensity, which is good. That's something we want, because the intensity stimulus is what drives the adaptations for hypertrophy and for strength. So that is what we want. However, while doing stuff, just moving reps to sets, we accrue calcium ion fatigue. So calcium ions flood our system, and that leads to fatigue, which is why we can't do the reps. There is also some afferent feedback in the neural system, which affects as well, but we'll leave that for another time. The specifics of why we train to failure, I've already mentioned. But why do we train more than that? Well, that's where we go into things like volume and frequency. Now, there has been many studies done to show that frequency is a better tool to use than volume. So if we're equating volume, i.e. to say that we do the same amount of volume, but over a longer or a more distant time frame, that is better for us than doing more volume right now. So for instance, I've done one set of every single one of these. You know how at the start I mentioned that I did that one set of leg press work, and I said, I don't want to do any more, even though I hadn't actually really been able to do that much, to be honest with you, with my right leg. That's because I still really tried. And for me, doing more than that, I'm not actually getting any muscular stimulus that's worth it for me. I'm just accruing junk volume. That's something you need to weigh up. Is that true in that particular instance? Maybe, maybe not. But I felt like it was relevant. But for things like this, doing a second set of this, maybe I would be able to meet that 6-rep target again, maybe not. The thing is that if I can't meet that 6-rep target, which was just for this movement, then I am doing junk volume, at least in my interpretation, because what you want to do is have any set that you do be as though it were your first set in terms of its quality. Of course, you can say the diminishing returns, the argument that you should do a bit too much than a bit too little, but I think it's a very privileged position to take, because if you're trying to do a little bit too much, you really need to make sure recovery is on point. Like, you better be getting 8 hours minimum a night's sleep. You better be eating in a calorie surplus and having a lot of good nutrition. Like, you better not be, doing alcohol, any kind of drugs, smoking, stuff like that, vaping. Like, if you're doing things that would impact your recovery, especially if you're a natural athlete, like, chill out, man. I mean, the other argument is if you are seeing progress week to week, whatever it may be, month to month, then who am I to tell you that what you're doing is wrong? But just imagine maybe doing less could make you improve faster, better. You may just feel better during your weeks. Just an idea. So we have intensity, how close we get to failure, and we have volume, how much of something we do. We then have frequency. Now what is frequency? Frequency is the number of times we do a movement throughout a microcycle, or a week, or a month, or whatever it may be. So let's take a week, for example. I will not do these movements again this week. I could, but as I've discussed with my abdominal work, when I've done abdominal work twice or even 3 times a week, I have not seen consistent progress. Controversially, I have now seen that for me, doing abdominal work once a week has yielded consistent progress. Numbers have gone up and the actual weight has gone up as well. That is great. That is exactly what we want. And now I have raw data. I have my own data to compare. So I don't need to think, oh, what if I did 2 sets a week instead? I know if I do 2 sets a week, I'm just not going to progress because I haven't. So there's that. And that's a really valuable thing to take away from this. Frequency training, though, is the idea that we take that second set. So instead of going, okay, let's do 1 set of squats, take a break, and then do a second set of squats. And instead going, okay, let's do 1 set of squats, and then later in the week, we will do that second set. The idea behind that is that on each of those days, you're coming in much more fresh because you haven't done a previous squat set. And so you do that squat set, and it's more likely that you will get 6 reps, so, or whatever the rep range is. So again, equating volume. So let's say we want to do 2 sets of squats and we want to get to 6 reps and fail on the 7th. And let's say we do 2 sets on the same day, but we do 1 set, we get to 6 and fail on the 7th, and we do a second set and we do 5 and we fail on the 6th. Versus if we did 2 sets, we do 1 today, we do 1 in like 2 days, whatever it may be, right? And on both days, we get the 6 reps and we fail on the 7th. That is a more effective use of our time and our energy. We have done more work that is good work in those 2 sessions than in just 1. That's the idea. And that is why frequency training is more important than volume training. The idea, however, of training with just a single working set, which is what I do, it's what you guys have seen here. I've only done 1 set of literally everything to failure, is that by doing that 1 set, we reach failure, and then if we were to do another set, we would just not perform as well, so it's not worth doing. That's the whole ideology. It's popularized by Mike Mensa, so if you're interested, go check that out, but that's really the principles that we're going for here. So the goals for the next session will be to, next week basically, for our leg press is to lower the weight and to try and do better work, to try and get really up into that super deep stretch and to do 6 reps, 4 reps, whatever it may be. We're re-standardizing what our process is with that because we are doing essentially a new movement. It's novel, all that kind of stuff. And that's something you will do frequently throughout your training journey, and that's okay. With regards to, other stuff, I suppose, my leg curls, you guys know, I've already said I'm going to go to 53. I'm going to do that for 5 reps hopefully next week. For my calf raises, we're going to look to do 3 and 4 next week probably. And then for my abdominal work, we're going to go up to 5 kilograms and we're going to go for 4 to 5 reps. That's the whole thing. That's literally the entire process of this. So what we'll do now is I'm going to stretch out and then we'll do some posing outside because we kind of had to talk about the whole session, so there's no really need to do a walk home. So let's do that. Meet you guys in a little bit.
Rightio, ladies and gentlemen. Session is over. I've taken a nice long time to stretch out. And I thought, hey, it's a lovely day out here. Why not do a little leg pose down out in the natural light? I'm gonna go actually go eat my lunch, even though it's like 5 p.m. Listen, I slept in. I ate a lot of Easter eggs last night. You get it. Anyway, the session today was really, really valuable. I found it to be quite good. But let's zoom in on these Legos here and have a see. Actually, I'll keep a hold of my phone. Just see if I can balance it here so I can keep an eye on my legs, but this is what we're currently working with. I've normalized around 85 kilograms, although since eating all that Easter chocolate, I'm probably a little bit more on like the 88 kilogram range probably, but that will normalize, I'll go back down. So this is what we're currently working with. We're not the leanest, as you can see in my abdomen here, but that's okay. We are getting some good progress. Let's do a little. We have been progressing now after the calorie deficit. So I'm very, very happy with that deficit, and just trying to keep myself in kind of a leaner state. Not absolutely lean, but specifically for another convention which I have in about a month's time. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with the way that the legs are looking. This here, especially the inner thigh, has been a real look at that. Look at that. That's beautiful development right there. There's some serious mass hanging there. When I go into my next calorie deficit, whenever that may be, hopefully we'll get a lot more, separation and whatnot through the legs. But the size is looking good. And again, this main thing here is going to be to do rehabilitating the way that my legs are moving.
Also, look at that vein there. That's pretty cool.
But rehabilitating, this is my right leg here. This is the one that has the issue pushing. My left leg does not. So, real priority for me going forward now is going to be getting that rehab going. Again, I'm not injured, I'm moving well, but I just don't have the strength in that leg. And I want you guys to think about this. I'd stagnated on my squats, and there's a good reason for it, because if there is like a 10 kilogram pushing difference between these two legs in the deepest position, then when I go to do my squats here and I go to push up, then I'm going to have to really move a lot of weight on my left leg to even get the movement going, and that just breaks down the whole movement. So by going to a unilateral work, I can really focus on the imbalances, which becomes that's a real thing with, I think, leg training, especially people like to do bilateral leg training, self included. So hopefully this will not fix. There's nothing wrong. I've just been neglecting, and that's fine. I'm making the choice to work on it, and that's what we can really do. So I'm very, very happy about that. You guys may notice my hair is long as hell. It's because I've got, again, MCM London in a month's time. So that's why I'm keeping my hair long, so that I can do a good Clive Roswell cosplay. Because I'm meeting Ben Starr. Hopefully going to meet Ben Starr, who is the voice actor of Clive from Final Fantasy 16. But yeah, that's everything. That's top to bottom. This is probably a much longer session, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Stay well, stay safe, look after yourself. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm available on all social media, and it would be a shame if you didn't reach out if you had something you wanted to ask, because I'm a human being. I exist. I would love to talk with you about what you may be going through. Cool? Cool. See you soon.